Imagine waking up in France in 1789 and realizing you might not eat today. Not because you're lazy, not because you didn't work hard enough, but because bread, the one thing you need to survive, now costs more than your entire daily wage. And everywhere you go, people are whispering the same words. Something is coming. Not a war, not a plague, something worse. A revolution. I'm not rich. I'm not noble. I'm not a priest. I'm just ordinary. Maybe I'm a cobbler, a seamstress, a farmer. Maybe I work in a cramped little shop in Paris, or I'm stuck in the countryside trying to grow crops that keep failing. Life is already hard, but it's getting harder. The winters are brutal. Harvests keep failing, and now bread prices are exploding. I watch mothers crying while holding children with hollow faces. I see old men begging, even though they worked their entire lives. And while we suffer, the nobles ride past us like we don't exist. Silk clothes, clean hands, full stomachs. They don't pay the taxes we do. They don't fear the hunger we do. Me, I pay for everything. And the king? The king feels far away, like a ghost behind palace walls. But even he is running out of money. France is drowning in debt. And the rumor is, we're about to be squeezed harder than ever. Then something happens that we never imagined would happen. The king calls a meeting. The Estates General. For the first time in generations, the people will be heard, or at least, that's what we tell ourselves. The estates are divided into three groups: the clergy, the nobility, and us. The third estate. The third estate is everyone else: peasants, laborers, merchants. 98% of France. And yet, we get treated like we're nothing. But now people are talking in the streets. People are reading pamphlets. People are gathering, arguing, shouting. And for the first time in my life, I feel something dangerous. Hope. The Third Estate refuses to be ignored. They declare themselves the National Assembly. And when they're locked out of their meeting hall, they swear an oath in a tennis court. They will not leave until France has a constitution. A constitution. That word spreads like fire. I hear it in taverns. I hear it in alleyways. I hear it whispered like a prayer. It feels like history is shifting under our feet. But it also feels like something could snap at any moment. Because kings do not give up power easily. Then Paris erupts. People say the king is moving soldiers toward us. They say he's preparing to crush the assembly. And suddenly the city becomes a pressure cooker. On July 14th, the crowd moves toward the Bastille. A fortress prison. It's a symbol, a message, a monster made of stone. I don't know if I'm brave or just desperate, but I follow the crowd. The shouting grows louder. The air smells like sweat, panic, and gunpowder. Shots ring out, screams, people fall, and then the Bastille falls too. Heads are raised on pikes, blood runs in the streets, and all I can think is, we did it. But also, what have we done? Because now the people know something. If enough of us gather, we can destroy anything, even the king. The revolution spreads. In the countryside, peasants storm manor houses. They burn records of debts. They chase landlords away. They don't want to reform the old world. They want to erase it. And in August 1789, something unthinkable happens. The Assembly declares the end of feudal privileges. They announce the rights of man, liberty, equality, fraternity, words that sound beautiful. But I'm still hungry, and bread is still expensive, so freedom feels like a dream, and hunger feels like reality. Then the women march, thousands of them, angry, furious, starving. They walk to Versailles in the rain, some carrying knives, sticks, and even cannons. And I see something terrifying. When people are starving long enough, they stop fearing the palace. They storm Versailles. They drag the king back to Paris, not as a ruler, but as a prisoner. And now the king is living among us, watched, controlled, cornered. The revolution is no longer knocking on the door. It's inside the house. At first, it feels like we're building something new. But the city is tense now. Everyone watches everyone. Neighbors accuse neighbors. Friends become suspicious. And then we hear the news. The king tried to escape. He ran. He abandoned us. That moment changes everything, because the king is no longer a confused father of France. He is a traitor, and once that idea spreads, there's no going back. War begins. France fights enemies outside its borders and inside its own streets. Paris becomes violent. The monarchy falls. And then comes the moment that makes my stomach turn. The king is put on trial. Not a fake trial, not a symbolic one. A real trial, where a king must answer to the people. And in January 1793, Louis XVI is executed. The blade drops. His head falls. The crowd cheers. But I don't cheer, because I realize something. If a king can be executed, so can anyone. This is when the revolution changes. It stops being about freedom and becomes about survival. Robespierre rises, committees form, and now France has a new ruler, fear. The guillotine becomes a daily event. At first, they execute nobles, then priests, then traitors, then people who sound like traitors, then people who might become traitors, then people who simply make someone uncomfortable. The streets are quiet now, not because we are peaceful, but because we are afraid to speak. I learned to watch my words. I learned to lower my voice. I learned not to complain about prices. Because if you complain too loudly, someone might say you are against the revolution. And being against the revolution means one thing. You disappear. The prisons fill. The cart rolls. The blade drops. Over and over. And the worst part, it becomes normal. By the time the terror reaches its peak, I don't even know what we're fighting for anymore. I'm still poor. I'm still hungry. But now I live under constant fear that tomorrow I could be next, and the revolution is no longer a dream of equality. It's a machine, and it needs blood to keep moving. Then one day, even Robespierre falls. He gets dragged to the guillotine too, and the crowd cheers again. But this time, the cheering sounds different. Not hopeful, relieved, like people who survived a storm, but lost pieces of themselves in it. The French Revolution wasn't just history. It was a warning, because it started with hunger, then became hope, then became rage, then became blood. And if you were average, you didn't get to choose the future. You only got to hope you survived it. If you like this telling of history, please like and subscribe and comment on which part of history you want to hear next.